I like to do these where you're just kind of talking shit about
shooting the
whatever
shit.
you're doing.
Yeah, what do you want to know? You wanted to do the interview.
Yeah. So, what drove you to drive a van and leave stable home and, like shower?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I guess plumbing is a big.
It's not that bad. You just go to the gym every day, right?
Yeah. Do you? So
Yeah,
you do?
yeah. That's where I go to shower and shit every morning. But the big reason, I had a lot of practice doing it for like 6 years prior.
Okay.
I was moving around every 6 to 7 months for the job that I had at the time.
Right.
So like I never stayed in the same place for that long, and I always had a furnished place.
Yeah.
And I kept on losing shit every time I moved, and it got to the point where I was transitioning in between two places, and I ended up living in my car for 2 weeks. I had to stay in like some people's houses every once in a while, but there'd be a couple nights where I just found a spot and parked and did whatever. And a part of me just went, man, if I just had my own bed in here, I'd be so much fucking happier. I just really wanted my own bed everywhere I went. So the van just made more sense. Plus for myself, if I have a place to sit, smoke a cigarette, and drink a beer, I'm a very happy motherfucker. So then I don't really need anything fancy. I was getting annoyed with dealing with landlords, because that was also going to be the other thing. If you're going to be a busker on the streets, income is not going to be that predictable. And having an extra $1,500 that you need for rent every month is a big issue. So just buy out the van, call her good. Now if I can't afford rent, that's fine. All I need to do is afford gas. Big difference.
Yeah.
You need an extra $50 versus an extra $1,000. That was a massive reason.
So how long you been in the van for?
I think it was September 2023. October 2023, I believe, is when it was. End of September, beginning of October.
Okay, and so today it's February 2025.
Yeah, so I've been about almost a year and a half-ish, almost. Getting close to a year and a half.
Right.
So that's been honestly a blast. I love it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that wouldn't, even though they say they will. You're not going to love it. There's a lot of hassle with it. Figuring out where to throw out your garbage, if you're not on top of it all the time, your garbage will pile up very, very quickly. So like just being on top of shit, fucking dealing with certain things, people will hate it. I personally love every minute of it. I find it fucking awesome. But that's, again, just me.
Cool. If you had to go back, what would you do differently? What have you learned?
That's a tough one, because a lot of the things at the time I thought I did wrong. For most of my adult life, I thought I was doing everything wrong quite frequently. And then what happened, all the mistakes I kept on making, all different ones, every year I had a new dumb mistake that I made. Learning from it and growing from it and moving forward from it turned me into the person I am today. Also, if I started pursuing music at, let's say, 20 years old instead of like 28, 29, I would have been a piece of shit. Like a terrible human being. It's a really good thing I spent 10 years working day to day in other jobs to just build up some sort of reliability and stability just in showing up on time. So I don't know if I really would have changed anything. Maybe just giving myself more grace, right? For most of my adult life, I didn't really enjoy it because it was all living out of spite, because I couldn't pursue music. I spent my entire adult life avoiding it. Anyone who pursued it, good for you, but I can't do it because I'm not the 1% of 1% that ever makes it. So I spent that time just being angry, and the reason why I got into like doing sales and stuff like that at the time was to just do a middle finger, fuck you. If I'm not gonna do music, I'm gonna make a bunch of money just talking to people. Fuck you. And I hit a point where I was just tired of living in spite. So I'm just like, okay, what if I wasn't living in spite? What would I do? This.
Hell yeah.
So that's what I decided to do.
So I read this book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and she talks about shadow artists, people that know that their purpose is to do something, but they just don't believe that they can, or they do it in spite, like you said, and they spend most years just living in the shadow of maybe somebody else or around people that are doing your dream. And so what made you change from being if you were to agree with me here, like a shadow artist to becoming the artist that you are today?
I no longer gave a fuck. I have a huge problem with seasonal depression, and for years it was really, really bad, and it kept on getting better and kept on getting better. I was getting better ways of dealing with it. And one of the big things for me was just, instead of hoping and wishing I had something different, what if I just went for it anyways? And then there was a time where I wanted to go be a musician, but I also wanted to be super successful. Someone was like, well, how am I going to do it so I blow up really quick? Because if I don't blow up quick and I can't make money from it, I'm just a piece of shit. And then I figured out busking. I'm just like, wait a minute. If I live in a van and my daily expenses are super low, I can just go on the street and play? Buddy, done. And I transitioned from I need to be successful in music to be happy in it to if I'm doing it for a career, I'm very okay dealing with a couple years of eating shit and looking dumb to just one day blow up. And I made the commitment for myself of I don't care if I blow up in the next 2 years, the next 5 years, or never. If I'm making a living off of music, whether it's 20K a year or 50K a year or $50 million a year, I'm doing it. I'm loving it. So that was kind of it's like, fuck it, fine, let's just do this then. Because I played the game of, if I make enough money, I'm super cool. If I do this job, I'm super cool. If I do this, I'm the best. And then none of it's satisfying whatsoever. Now, when I quit my job, I remember telling one of my buddies for my first 2 weeks of I'm a musician. He was talking to me, he's like, so how's it going and everything like that? And I was just like, man, I've never felt more successful in my life. And I made $500. So I barely made minimum wage, if that. And I was like, I'm so successful. I feel incredible. This is awesome. And once that hit, it's like, all right, I'm good. I'm going to keep going then.
Fuck yeah, that's inspiring, man. What's your favorite color?
I don't really have one. It depends on what it's on. It's...
What it's on?
Yeah, if it's a car, I want it to be kind of a bright color.
Okay.
If it's a hat, very basic black is really good all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't really have, I've never been a guy that's my favorite color.
Okay.
Right?
Where did you come up with the name Degenerate Josh?
I was talking with my buddy, and at the time I just quit my job. I was trying to figure out what kind of content I should do on Instagram.
Right.
And some of the things I was doing was I just kind of coined the term responsible degenerate. Right? I love drinking. I love smoking cigarettes. I love partying with the boys, but I also show up to work on time. Right? I also will go to the gym, or I'll also read a book, or I'll also take time off so I can focus up.
Non-degenerate.
Yeah, non-degenerate things. I'm still a degenerate piece of shit. I'll go gambling on 2:00 on a Tuesday, but I'm not gonna ruin my life for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I'm just gonna have fun. So I was doing these videos talking about it, and we're trying to think of a good name. I didn't want to be Josh Music / music on Instagram or something like that. Say that's too much on the nose, and everyone does stuff like that. And he's like, just go for Degenerate Josh. I was like, well, kind of could. I really like it. And so I've kind of just stuck with it since then. And it also works really well because no matter what I do, if someone doesn't like it, it's just like, but I'm a degenerate. You don't have to agree with me, right? If I'm drinking too much, you shouldn't drink that much. I'm a degenerate. What you expect?
Yeah.
If I stop drinking and then alcoholics are like, fuck you, you changed. It's like, I'm a degenerate. What you expect?
Yeah, exactly.
I can literally do whatever I want. And that's the beauty behind it. That's why I like it. That's why I'll stick to it. Because also, what's really funny, I come from my background. My mom and my dad, very good Christians. My dad was a pastor. My mom was a worship leader. That's what got me into music.
Okay.
And even talking to my mom about the name, and I was shocked at first because everyone liked it. I'm just I thought I was going to get a lot of pushback from this. But I've had one person in 7 months say something negative about the name. Everybody else laughs at it.
Yeah.
I was telling my mom this, and she's like, well, yeah, of course. Everybody out there knows that there is flaws and there is sins or there is some sort of degenerate nature to them. And they're all aware of it. Not many people will say it out loud. Right? So it's something everyone can relate to as well. Because everyone knows a degenerate. Everyone knows a Josh.
I know a Josh.
Yeah.
Many Josh.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I stuck with the name. That's why I like it. It's kind of fail-safe.
Fail-safe, if you're not a saint.
Yeah, if someone doesn't like what I'm doing, it's I'm a degenerate, what you expect.
Yeah,
it's very easy to just kind of brush everything off and not take anything too seriously, especially with everything online, everyone getting to have a say or a comment. It's who cares?
Yeah.
I'm a degenerate. Nah.
Yeah.
Just an immediate fail-safe.
Sick. When is your album coming out?
I've made the commitment. I want to do 1 year from when I started busking to have a full album done. What was it? July. I want to have it out for 1st of July. I think that's going to be a tough one, but I would like to. I want to have 21 songs, and I want to call it Win Regardless. Because in blackjack, if you have 21, you're going to win regardless. Even if it's a push in blackjack, that's a win regardless. So that's why I want to do that. That's how many songs I want on it. It also works out really well if I have a full album to just start going to bars and stuff like that, and I can do a full 90-minute to 2 hours, worth of a set.
Yeah.
And that means I can start going and promoting this stuff at live venues, and then also just busking on the street every once in a while, do one of the originals. So
Yeah, hell yeah.
it works out well to have that many songs.
Where can people see you?
Instagram is Degenerate Josh. TikTok is Degenerate Joshua. YouTube is also Degenerate Josh, but I'm not very active on YouTube yet.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Yeah.